Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Eimear McKeown. Today's top stories. The PSNI is investigating a potential dissident plot to blow up a lorry which was due to cross the Irish Sea on Brexit Day. Voters in Waterford are being urged to check their ballot paper is stamped properly on Saturday. The latest JNLR results show that WLR is outperforming all the other radio stations in the franchise area. And in sport, Jacob Stockdale says he's delighted to have signed a new 3-year central contract with the IRFU. Police in the north are investigating a potential dissident Republican plot to blow up a lorry due to cross the Irish Sea on Brexit Day. Warnings were issued last Friday that a device was on a vehicle bound for Scotland, sparking major searches in Belfast docks, although nothing was found. A further tip-off identified the haulage company targeted, and 400 vehicles had to be eliminated from searches to find the device. It was eventually located in the Silverwood Industrial Estate in Lurgan, County Armagh. The PSNI is blaming dissident Republicans for the attempted attack, which they say shows total disregard for members of the public. Doug Beattie is the Ulster Unionist Justice spokesperson and a former army captain.
I think it's truly awful. It is sadistic. Had this thing detonated on the ferry, on its way to the ferry, then we could be looking at substantial loss of life and injury.
Gardaí in Kilkenny are investigating the serious assault of a man at a house in the early hours of this morning. The 46-year-old man is believed to be in a critical condition following the assault on the Castlecoma Road at approximately 4 a.m. Emergency services attended the scene and the man was taken to St Luke's Hospital. A man in his 30s was arrested and is currently detained at Kilkenny Garda Station, where he can be held up for 24 hours. There's just days to go until people in Waterford go to the polls for the general election. Left-leaning parties are hoping to capitalise on the upsurge in support for Sinn Féin in the recent opinion polls. WLR's Sinead Ahern joined Una Dunphy on the canvas trail in Ashley Court.
It's Una Dunphy's second time running in the general election. She received 1,600 votes in 2016. Una explained to this resident what she's been up to since.
I'm hoping to get in this time.
Yeah,
it's my second time running.
Very good.
And
yeah.
I've been very active on the hospital, on repeal, on a lot
we
of
need
activism.
it all, girl. We need
a
it all.
change, and I think there's a big
Absolutely.
change coming.
We need it all, so we do. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm obviously asking for number one votes from people, but also I'm asking for them to transfer left only, because we want to break the cycle of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. And we think that they haven't delivered, particularly for Waterford.
Yes.
And we feel
we've
that
been
as
left
a city,
behind,
we've been left way
we
behind.
have been left behind.
And
absolutely.
even so, Gregory's shop in Waterford was closing last night. It's been there for a
No
long time.
way.
Yeah. So we're turning into a very desolate city.
And the dresser.
Yeah,
the dresser
I know,
down in
lovely
George's
little
Street,
shops.
lovely
They're all,
little shops.
what can we have left? So we need strong
Do you know what
voices.
we've left? We've got sports shops and barbers.
And loads of second-hand shops.
And second-hand shops.
Yeah. We need a vibrant city centre.
We really do.
And we need people who will fight for Waterford.
Good woman. I'm sure you'll
be
be in there giving it your best shot. I'm sure
Thanks
you
very
will.
much.
There's still a few undecided voters out there.
Have you made up your mind yet?
I'm very confused.
Okay, well, you have a few days left.
Some are looking for change.
Don't know yet, to be honest.
Well, we're asking people not to vote for Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael and to change the
Well,
cycle.
I definitely won't be voting for them.
Well, we're on side on one
That's
thing.
one thing I do know.
Okay. I was out on the 2016. I got 1,600 first preference votes, so I'm hoping to build on it significantly this time. And I do think there's an appetite for change because of healthcare and housing and how impossible
Where
it
do you
is
start?
for people.
I know.
Where do you start? Yeah.
Others have their minds completely made up.
Do you know what way you're going?
Yeah.
Is there any hope for us down there? Well, Sinn Féin are asking for number 2 for us, so that's So if we transfer left, we have a much better chance. So I'm hoping for a good transfer from Dave Kilman.
I think so.
And I hope that we'll get something positive for Waterford.
Yeah, we will. I know we will this time.
Una says in general they've been receiving a lot of positive feedback for candidates on the left.
It's not such a huge surprise. We've kind of felt this on the ground. I didn't think it was going to happen maybe as quickly, but I'm delighted it is. So we're trying to get people to vote left, to stay left, and to give a left alternative. I think there's a big hang-up on the number of candidates that Sinn Féin have, but Sinn Féin are proposing that people will give their transfers down along the left as well. And if that happens, then we could have everything is to play for. So we won't have the predictions that we always have, that the first seat's gone, the second seat's gone, the third seat's. We don't know what's going to happen in Waterford at all. I would say that David Cullinane will top the poll, but after that it's anybody's guess. Nobody's sure-footed on any seat at the moment.
This woman wasn't too open to the idea of voting for people before profit.
Look, I probably wouldn't be a people before profit fan.
Yeah.
I don't like the people I see on TV, to be honest.
Okay.
What's his name?
Richard.
Yeah. I mean, you're against everything. I'm sorry, it's not being personal.
That's fine.
But I just feel you're against everything. And I mean, it's easy to criticise. The problems are really hard to solve.
Oh, they are hard to solve. But
health and housing won't be solved.
No, but I've been an activist on health here locally.
I'm sure.
So you might have a look at that and see anyway.
I'll give you... I remember you, but...
Yeah.
Una says the idea that they're against everything is peddled a lot.
We're not against everything. We're against the current government and the manner in which they treat people. So we have policies, we have all our details and our costings on our website. And if anybody wants to check anything out, check anything with regard to all our policy statements, go on to ppp.ie and have a look at it. We protest when we see that the communities are not being served and when the communities are being left behind. And there's many communities in Waterford that are being left behind and have had enough. So we stand up for those communities and we would ask people to vote for us on Saturday.
The returning officer in Waterford says he'll be very tough on presiding officers who do not ensure the ballot paper is stamped properly on Saturday. In the last general election, 72 ballot papers in Waterford were rejected because they were not stamped. The unstamped ballots were among 400 spoiled votes in the Waterford constituency. Neil Rooney says when you go to cast your vote on Saturday, you should check to make sure the official mark is on your ballot paper, which should be perforated with a letter at the top. If it's not, your vote will not be counted.
When they're issued with the ballot paper, check very carefully on the top right-hand corner to see that the official mark has been put on it by the presiding officer. Now, we had a problem with the last general election where there were 70 votes spoiled because this did not happen. Now, I've done training. Had training for the presiding officers, and I'm emphasising the importance of this, and I will take very tough action against any defaulters in that because it deprives a person of their franchise right, and that's wrong.
Students across Waterford will walk out of their classrooms tomorrow morning to demand action on climate change. The strike is being organised by the Fridays for Future movement and is part of a nationwide pre-election demonstration. Emma McMahon, a transition year student in Newtown School, is organising the strike in Waterford. She says they're appealing to all political parties.
We're not endorsing or putting down any specific parties, but what we're asking is that they all hear us out and actually recognise what Ireland as a country, as a nation and the government have been doing wrong, because in order to progress forward we need to kind of wipe the slate clean and realise where we went wrong. So we're trying to kind of appeal to all parties. We're not going to say who is the better or who shouldn't be voted for.
The latest JNLR results show that WLR is outperforming all the other radio stations in the franchise area. The results have been released for the period of January to December 2019. Radio continues to be popular across the county, with people tuning in for 4.5 hours every day. WLR's programme director Michael Byrne says the station has scored one of the highest market shares in the country.
70% of all adults tune in every single week, and we're delighted with the figures. They were released yesterday for the period January to December 2019, and to be honest, we couldn't have asked for better figures. 48% of people tune in every single day, 70% of people tune in every single week. And the great news for us on this book as well is the market share has increased. It's 47%, which means people are actually listening to WLR even longer. So the average person is listening to WLR for over 4 hours every single day, and we're delighted with that.
WLR Sport.
With thanks to the Waterford Viking Marathon. Register now at waterfordvikingmarathon.com.
And a very good afternoon, I'm Gavin Whelan. Starting with rugby, and Jacob Stockdale says he's delighted to have signed a new 3-year central contract with the IRFU. It'll also keep the 23-year-old winger at Ulster until the end of the 2023 season. Meanwhile, Wales have made one change for Saturday's Guinness Six Nations clash with Ireland at the Aviva. Having made a try-scoring debut from the bench against Italy last week, Nick Tompkins has been rewarded with a start at outside centre. Tompkins' inclusion sees George Norton move to the wing, with Johnny McNichol dropping to the bench. Next to news of Gaelic games, Waterford footballers welcome Wexford to Fairfield on Saturday night for what's a crunch encounter in Division 4 of the Alliance League. Brian Lynch admits the Dacia footballers are determined to bounce back following their opening round defeats to Limerick and Wicklow. Wexford defeated Carlow last weekend to pick up their first win of the campaign, and the Clashmore Kinsale Beg clubman says they'll have another tough battle this weekend despite the fact that they defeated the Slaney Siders in last year's league.
Yeah, last year now, alright, we played them up in Wexford. It was a bit of a weird game, alright. I think we scored 5 or 6 goals and just we came away with the win. And this year, obviously, they have Paul Gavin on board now, and so they've an experienced man and all that. So they'll be a different outfit this year. And after picking up a good result there last weekend, I think they beat Carlow, so they'll obviously be a different outfit and be a tough game out weekend.
Throw in for that one is at 7 in Fairfield. Soccer Next Premier League clubs have voted to change the summer transfer window deadline to the 1st of September next season. It'll bring them back in line with the other major European leagues. The window has closed in England the day before the top flight started in the last 2 campaigns. Former West Ham captain Kevin Whelan has returned to the club to join David Moyes' backroom staff. He's been appointed alongside Paul Nevin as first team coach. They began work and training this morning. Meanwhile, Shamrock Rovers sporting director Stephen MacPhail says he's been surprised by the levels of opposition from First Division clubs against the inclusion of their second team. Rovers B team are set to compete in the second flight in the coming season unless Limerick are granted a licence in the next week. Former Ireland international MacPhail feels their second team can help bridge the gap between underage and senior players at Rovers.
I think this country needs to start producing players again and start looking at their structures, and this is just something that we felt our club needed to work on and try and help our young kids as best we can. It's not to say that anyone's going to play for the first team, but it's just giving them another couple of years of good coaching and a good environment to develop.
In golfer, McDowell returns to the scene of his US Open success later, having won in Saudi Arabia last weekend. He'll tee it up at the AT&T at Pebble Beach in the Pro-Am from West Waterford's Seamus Power, also among the card there. And in racing, a mixed 7-race card at Thurles takes centre stage this afternoon, with the first going to post at the Tipperary venue in the next few minutes at 1:15. That's sports news on WLR, brought to you by WaterfordVikingMarathon.com.